Namaskaram. I'm SriDeep and welcome to Blossom Your Way, where we focus on growing what matters, your garden, your home, and your life. This is the second episode in our Space Reform series, where I share how we turned a simple, everyday front lawn into a productive, edible garden. If you missed the first episode, you'll find the link in the description below. So, once we made the decision to garden in our front yard, we started exploring what kind of setup would actually work. And for us, timber felt like the natural place to begin. It was affordable, forgiving, and also beginner friendly. I watched a lot of YouTube channels back then, mostly from the US, and almost all of them used timber raised beds. It just looked very easy. Just sleepers, some screws and soil, and boom, you had a garden bed. At that point, we still had 3 trees along the front, and our original plan was to simply dig up the grass and plant directly into the ground. But practically, we realized 2 big problems. If we didn't want the pavers getting muddy with loose soil, we need to dig deep and remove a lot of earth. And we also had no idea what kind of soil was underneath. The area we live in Adelaide has clay soil, which isn't really great for growing fruits and vegetables unless you amend it properly. And that meant even more effort and expense. So we just thought, to avoid mess, confusion, and potential dumping fees, raised beds made a lot more sense to us. I started researching timbers and learned that not all timber is garden safe. Sometimes apparently it can leach chemicals into the soil. That would then defeat the whole purpose of growing our own food, right? So we ended up choosing sienna pine, which is treated with non-toxic preservatives, and it is much more safer for food gardening. Now, our front yard had a row of beautiful lily-pilly hedges, and I just couldn't bring myself, honestly, to send them to landfill. So I just listed them on Marketplace, hoping people can come and give them new homes. And when it happened, it just made me feel so much better. And then we started getting the quotes for the garden beds. And this is something that I am so scared even to date. One landscaping company quoted $3,000 just to remove the lawn. The others quoted up $10,000 for the whole job. And it was just so devastating. That was so way out of our budget. Through a gardening group, though, I discovered a local business that had just started offering garden makeovers. They came over, took all the measurements, and quoted around $2,500, including materials, labor, and lawn removal. I feel, if I think about it today, though, I do feel that it may have been more, and maybe we could have gotten somewhat cheaper. But at that time, it was COVID time as well. That was the cheapest quote we could get. We tried. We rang lots of companies. Either people were not available, or it just didn't eventuate. This person was the only person that was ready to actually do the job and do it quicker as well. And then we had some chat. They gave us some information, told us, what are the things that we need to look for. And then we started doing our homework on the materials. So we visited places like Newton Landscape Supplies and Golden Grove Garden Supplies. And I just want to be clear, this is not a sponsored video. These are simply the places we went. So that's why I'm giving the names of the places, just so people can get an idea if they want to visit somewhere. These landscape depots are actually amazing. They stock everything from soils to stones. And for our garden, we chose premium organic loam for the beds, white river pebbles for the paths, and milled pine mulch for the mulching in the garden area. To keep the cost down, we decided to go with a single sleeper height for the beds, and just as the team started digging, surprise! We discovered a huge underground irrigation system installed by the builder. We didn't even know it existed. We were told it didn't work because of water pressure issues, so we never used it. Unfortunately, it had to be ripped out. In hindsight, I wish we'd investigated that more thoroughly before starting. But, that was just one thing that, we didn't even knew existed, so it didn't even occur to us. But if you are planning a project like this, please make sure you investigate thoroughly. And as for the rest of the yard, we didn't want to use chemical sprays to kill the grass. So instead of poisoning the soil and the grass, we simply removed the lawn and laid down white river pebbles. Some gardeners told us that using stones in a west-facing yard can heat up the soil too much in summer. But to be honest, because we only used it in the paths, we've actually never faced any issues with that, even in the hottest month. And we actually found that the pebbles help to keep the weeds and also the grass at bay. The grass did not really come through. There were portions here and there initially in the first 6 months that the grass would come up, but it was very easy for us to just hand pick it. It wasn't really much at all. And the pebbles also gave the space a really clean and a crisp look. If you're curious about the materials we used, here's a quick breakdown of the timber and hardware. In the end, the timber beds looked amazing. They looked clean, functional, and a huge step forward. It finally felt like our growing journey had truly begun. If you'd like to read this story in more detail, I've also written a full blog post. You'll find the link in the description below. In the next episode, I'll take you back to the seeds I sowed even before the beds were built, and I'll share what worked, what didn't, and a few surprises from our first real harvest. And, as I always like to say, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to begin. So, what will you begin today? Let me know in the comments below. And if this video resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. That's how we can grow together.